and welcome to the season finale of Premier League Primetime Season 1. It's been a blinding journey. Yes, we are 2 weeks late at the end of the season, but I had to make sure all of us were back again. That's why, if people were wondering, I've had people ask me, oh, why are we so late and whatnot? I needed to get everyone back on. It was only right to do so. It's a great day. It's summer day. It's feeling great. And everybody, how are all of you doing? It's been a while.
I'm good, Davis. How about you?
I'm feeling right. Cyrus, how are you doing? Or is it going to be the typical do not respond to Davis whatsoever? And there we go. It's eating his waffles. Andre, are you good?
Yeah, I'm doing good, Davis.
And Robbo, buddy, how are you doing?
I'm chilling. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course, all the time, anytime. Anyways, let's just get right into it. Looking back, the Premier League season is of course done. Congratulations to Manchester City for winning the Premier League this year, which I think all of us knew, was bound to happen. Back in like mid-February, I think all of us knew that was just bound to happen. Chelsea winning the Champions League by beating Man City by a goal to nil. I'm personally very happy about that. So Manchester City can just get back in their shadows because they're just the shadow dwelling club they'll always be. Anyways, let's just get right into this. Into what we have. Let's take a look at the at all the teams that play in the league this season. And we're going to give them a season evaluation or rating from an A to an F. Starting with Manchester City. Andre, is this a straightforward one?
Yeah, any team that wins the title has got to get that A, right? So
I think that's very straightforward. Coming in second place, Manchester United. I mean, this is the one actually we'll give a bit of an input on because it's my team, obviously. What I will say about Manchester United, they have greatly improved in some areas, but there's definitely same old, but a second place finish is regardless still improvement off of last season. For me, I would give them a B, but Jose, what are you giving Manchester United this season?
I'd actually probably give them an A. I think that with all the signings they brought in, none of them were really in the right places. So Solskjaer really wasn't backed very well at all. And I think that if you had said at the beginning of the season that Man U will finish second, any Man U fan would have been like, okay, I'd take that. So I think that I'd have to give him an A for that. And I think Solskjaer has done a pretty good job this season, despite not really having the right players in the right positions for a lot of the time.
Yeah, I think you put it very well there. The signings, none of the signings that he brought in were signings that he actually said, yeah, this is on my list. Cavani, panic buy. Donny van de Beek was a cheaper Jack Grealish alternative. And Palestri and Amad Diallo were just cover-ups for the failure of the Jadon Sancho saga. And yeah, I think I could see what you're saying, but I think Solskjaer has also been called into question. Some of his tactics have made me literally pull the hair out of my head at times. But I could see why you give him an A there. Going into third place, that's Liverpool. A season where they were by far, and I mean by far, below average in terms of what they were like the season before. Dominating in the Premier League, literally winning game after game. Massive injury crisis throughout the season. Cyrus, what would you give them?
Yeah, honestly, I think they, obviously didn't get first time, but I think they did well considering the injuries. I think they had a strong end to the season. I don't think many people thought, I don't know, like almost at the end of the season, they wouldn't even get Champions League. So I'd have to give them a BB plus, I'd say, because, they came back. All those injuries, losing their best center back, also losing, Gomez. So, they had a lot to deal with. I give credit to Klopp and the players. So.
Yeah, you seriously put it very well there. Injuries have just been a problem all season, but they've had some abysmal performances. And let's be real, that core and spine of the Liverpool team was out for yeah, as you said, more or less the whole season. And I can see why one would put it there. And I'll say this right now: the only reason why Liverpool finished top four was because a certain team bottled it when they were supposed to win at Old Trafford, and they just didn't do that. And because of that, Liverpool had the next four games were basically piss easy in their schedule, and obviously they won the last four of them, and they finished top four because of it. Into fourth place, and that is Robbo FC or Chelsea. And we're not looking at the Champions League. We're looking at just their Premier League campaign. What would you give them for their Premier League this season? Looking at both the first 6 months under Lampard and also throwing in the last 6 months under Thomas Tuchel.
I would definitely give them like a B plus. They dropped really easy points against teams like Leeds. I know they lost to Southampton. There was like a Brighton game that was just terrible to watch. But at the same time, they came up really big against like some big teams and managed to clutch fourth. But the Lampard, I would say it's like 2 seasons. Like when Lampard was in charge, like it's a C plus team, C plus rating. But when Tuchel's in charge, I would give it an A. So you got to balance it out and say they squeaked through with that Champions League. So give them a B plus.
Yeah. And one thing I'll say right now is that I got loads of abuse on Instagram when Tuchel got sacked, and Ollie wasn't doing well at the time, and I wanted Manchester United to appoint Thomas Tuchel because I've always rated the guy. I've always rated the manager. I've always said he's a very, very good manager. For me, he gives me Pep Guardiola vibes, not in the sense he's as class or as good as Guardiola, but I'm saying just in the style and the different tactics he plays. And people were saying, oh, Tuchel failed at PSG. Tuchel failed at Dortmund. He's coming to a Chelsea team, same players with a different manager, different mindset. Yes, you could say Chelsea had so much squad depth, and would he be able to turn McFred into a world class ball retention midfield? No, probably not. But he could certainly probably make them better players, is what I'm saying. Into fifth place, and we have Andre's favorite team, Andre's favorite manager. We all know Andre's dreaming of the Mr. Dream, okay, Brendan Rodgers himself to come to Tottenham. And that is Leicester City. We're in top four for most of the season, but just as last year, they bottled it. And I know Andre was very sad to see Brendan Rodgers not get Tottenham or not get Leicester into the top four. What would you give Leicester for the Premier League season?
I mean, look, they obviously had a good season. They had some great moments. They beat City this season, but yeah, you nailed it with the whole. They bottled it at the end again. That's like their biggest thing. They did it again. The old Leicester City, the barrage. Yeah, they obviously had a good season. They spent so much time in the top four, but to bottle like that is just ending on such a sour note that. Yeah, I think I would have. They're still somewhere between an A and a B because they still had a great season, and I think they exceeded a lot of expectations. But they've got to. They can't be bottlers. That's me saying that.
How perfect would it be if Mr. Bottle Job himself signed for Bottle Job FC Tottenham?
No, that'd
be a match made in heaven. Match made in heaven.
I could see that happening. That'd be
My
so
worst
funny.
fear.
Yo, that's a match made in heaven. I'm telling you right now.
No.
Into the next side, and we have a side who were arguably one of the best teams in the Premier League this season in terms of expectations, West Ham. I mean, real quickly, I know I'm not supposed to give any input, but I just want to give a real shout out to West Ham. I think they've blown the entire every Premier League supporter's eyes away in terms of what they've achieved this season. Jose, in terms of what they've achieved, they've got European football. They have got the Europa League ahead of Bottle Jobs FC. What would you give West Ham for the season?
An A plus, no doubt. I think that their manager was someone we all had up for the sack beginning of the season. and then to finish where they did is ridiculous. I mean, you look at the teams they finished above: Tottenham, Arsenal, Leeds, Everton, Wolves, all of them. It's ridiculous, honestly, the season that they've had, and they've been a joy to watch. They've had some really really great players on their team, and I think that they're definitely a team to watch next season, and that they'll only improve.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I definitely think they'll be back stronger next season. Regardless if they have Declan Rice or if they don't, whether they keep Jesse Lingard, because those two are just so key, or two very key and important players um, for them this season. Mikel Antonio has been absolutely superb. Um, uh, Thomas Suchek, Vladimir Kufal, Aaron Cross. I mean, I could go on and on. Next, into seventh, Tottenham Hotspur. Started off hearing Tottenham fans, including this one here, we're bound to win the league. We could win the league. And I said, hold on. It's only December. It's only December. Let's hold our horses. And it's Tottenham, all right? And for whatever reason, it just took a sour note. But looking at their former manager, we all know how it ends with the special one. It ended sooner than expected. And then after that, Mr. Ryan Mason took charge, and I started getting used to seeing Eric Dyer and Harry Winks play 90 minutes every game. Andre, what would you give Tottenham for their overall Premier League campaign? Because at one point they looked like they were the best team in the league. Let's not forget.
Yeah, we did, which is why it was so disappointing when things turned out the way they did. I think everything went shit after the West Ham 3-3 match. It literally looked like a different team. But we ended it with it being like our worst domestic season in the modern era of Spurs. So it's just really disappointing for every fan because we see a lot of potential, but so many individual mistakes, so many handballs, so many penalties given away, like so many shitty away days. So I think I'd have to give the season like a D. It just wasn't a pleasure to be a Spurs fan like it was. Yeah.
And Andre going very harsh on Tottenham. I mean, I don't know what's on his mind. Maybe he's thinking that maybe Brendan Rodgers was a manager of Tottenham or whatnot. Maybe he forgot. I don't know.
If Ryan Mason was there the whole time, then we would have finished above United.
Yep. Oh, yeah, of course. And I couldn't forget. Tottenham do have European football next season.
UCL football, technically. So UCL football.
And by the way, I heard the anthem, and it's honestly even worse. It's worse than the Europa League one. It's honestly worse. It's honestly even worse than that. I
heard they're gonna be playing. They're gonna be playing some games at the local airport nearby. I heard. Did I see that on Instagram?
Okay. Yeah, I did.
What about the Quidditch fields in like Eastern?
Oh yeah, that's right. I did see that.
All right. Let's go into the next team. In eighth, Arsenal. In the beginning of the season, up until about I'd say mid-November, Arsenal looked very, very good. I think arguably their best game of the season was actually that win at Old Trafford. They were spectacular in that game. And those who saw me after the game, that really was my turning point with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And up until then, they looked very good. And then after that, I don't know what happened. There was a rejuvenation at one point, but in terms of the Premier League campaign this season, as the wise man, Mr. DT himself once said, or did say, that their Premier League season has been scandalous. And I don't think many Arsenal fans would disagree with that in terms of expectations. Mikel Arteta to be honest, I don't know how he's still in the job, but I'll throw it out to you, Cyrus. What would you assess Arsenal's season?
Well, number one, I don't think we were ever that good, especially till November. I feel like we were getting lucky results. Examples like against West Ham, I think we got lucky in the beginning of the season. Number two, please don't ever quote DT again. It was just just not good. I definitely give a D, especially midpoint of the season. December it was just awful to see. Um, I think I can blame Arteta a little. I'm still backing him for now. We'll have to see till next season, but players aren't good enough. We need a lot of new options. I think we need a new right back for sure. I think Bellerin's leaving.
Definitely.
I think we could get another 8. I feel like if we had someone there, it'd be better. At the end of the season, we're playing El Neni. To be fair, he was doing okay, but it's not good enough for a club like Arsenal to finish 8th, and we can't let this become the new norm, finishing like outside of the Champions League, which I feel like it is now. But at the end of the season, we did okay, but that doesn't really matter. At least we never lost to Chelsea or Man U in the Premier League, so and that's the only positive.
Yeah. I agree with actually everything you say. There are a lot of players that are just not good enough. Um, um, and I mean, yeah, in terms of a right back, um, I mean, as much as I'd love to see, Hector Bellerin, just be Arsenal's mainstay for the next for forever. Arsenal, if they want to get better, they need a new right back. Especially one that can cross the ball because other than Cedric, I can't really. Arsenal don't really have one that can cross the ball. Chambers is okay, in my opinion. He's an okay squad player. I think El Neni's the same, but Hector Bellerin's not good enough. He's poor. And in terms of the 8, I definitely think you guys could use another 8. For me, the man that Arsenal should go for, I think it's the obvious choice, but he's been a, a revelation this season, in my opinion, in the Premier League. Yves Bissouma. And quickly, what are your thoughts on Yves Bissouma? Would you like to see him at Arsenal?
Yeah, for sure. I remember. I don't know if you guys saw Pepe showing him the stands to the game, just giving him a tour. I think he'd be great alongside Partey. I think Partey was not the greatest this season, but you have to adapt to the Premier League. I think both of them together would be amazing. I think he's been, as you said, amazing for Brian this season, and I don't think he. I think he wants to come to us, to be honest. So
Yeah,
I
he
think it'd be
does.
great for us.
Yeah, for what it, for I unfortunately think that he will end up at Arsenal. I'm pretty. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he was he grew up as an Arsenal fan, growing up as a kid. He's always had a soft spot for Arsenal.
Oh, like Harry Kane.
Yeah, I think that actually be. I'd love to see Basuma at Manchester United. I mean, I think that's a player that would be excellent, but I actually think he will go to Arsenal on this one. Anyways, going into 9th, and we have Leeds. Finished in the top half of the Premier League. Definitely exceeded expectations to a certain extent, but also underwhelming in some. Robbo, what would you give Leeds for the season?
Solid C plus team, just because how inconsistent they were. They would what was it in the beginning of the season? They were it was like 4-4, like all these crazy games, and it was just like if you look at their goal differential, it was kind of just over the place. They had some great games, they had some terrible games. It was pretty cool to watch like Rafina and Paddy Bamford pop off. Uh, I got interested with Leeds and looked into the whole murder ball thing, and their team does like the most sprints per like um, sprints per 90 minutes compared to like any other team. The graph is kind of insane, but I mean, like I'm looking forward to seeing Leeds like in the Premier League next year. I think they can definitely maybe compete for that Conference League spot. I mean, like Arsenal and Tottenham, in my opinion, were two teams that I felt Leeds was on the same level as this season. So, like, I think like if they get a big signing this year or this summer, they'll really be in the running to like maybe get a European spot. But
Yeah, and that word that you said about Leeds, I think that's just been them to a T, hasn't it? Inconsistency. They've been so inconsistent. 1 week they'll be amazing, then 1 week they'll get thrashed, then it's just. I was with one of my friends of mine yesterday, and he was telling me that Leeds are just so frustrating to watch, but at the same time, he was bigging up the goalkeeper Melier, And he said that he has a lot of respect for him because 1 week he'll concede 4 goals, but then the next week, he'll be able to bounce back and have a clean sheet. But then the game after that, he could concede another 2-3 goals, and I mean that's he's basically underlying how inconsistent they actually are. But I think they had a decent enough season. In 10th we have Everton. And I really have to say, arguably one of the most disappointing turnouts. Carlo Ancelotti would constantly set this team up in. I would never know what formation you would go with. I don't know if you saw, but on Instagram, speaking of Everton, when Ancelotti left, RIP those legendary 2 months where they were going to win the league. It was bound that they were going to win the league, and then the Yerry Mina, James Rodriguez, and Adelaide Doucouré and Luca Digne and Dominic Calvert-Lewin, like the little dance, the little celebratory dance. Exactly. As Andre said, it was the kazoo title race between them and Villa, who's actually coincidentally next. Jose, what would you give Everton for the season?
Yeah, I'd probably give them like a C plus. I think it was pretty average. In the end, they started obviously really well, and then they had a really, really disappointing end. So I think that a C plus would be fair. I think that it was really a case for them of whenever their good players were fit, they would do well, and then when they were injured, they would not do well. And then their good players didn't really stay fit for the entire season at all. They were very inconsistent. So I think that C plus would be fair for them.
Yeah, I agree with that. I 100% agree. Because towards the end of the season, I mean, they were just dire. They were absolutely awful in some games. Some games I see them, they would be very good, and it's the exact same as Leeds. Just too inconsistent for me. And speaking of inconsistent, that also fits the very next team in 11th place, Aston Villa. Just like Everton, at the beginning of the year, best result of the season when they just, let's be real, traumatized and marmalized. Those would be my 2 words. Traumatized and marmalized Liverpool when they just slapped them, to be honest with you, 7-2. And I remember, I was watching that game actually alongside a certain someone actually here. And when that 7th goal went in, that someone said, "Are Aston Villa really 7-up against Liverpool?" Andre, what would you rate Villa for the season?
Yeah, I think that was definitely their best moment of the season, and they definitely had some good ones. When you consider where they were last season, where they were fighting just to stay up, this season has been a huge improvement. I think they were, for a lot of the season, they looked like one of the most solid teams with a great foundation. I think Dean Smith did a great job, and he's underappreciated in that. But the moment they lost Jack Grealish is when their season just started to go downhill. They had an underwhelming finish when they were really fighting to finish maybe for Europe. That was a conversation for a while, but the loss of Jack Grealish they lacked a lot of creativity, and they messed up. I'd still give them like a B though.
Andre, don't start waffling on about Grealish, or else Robbo is going to give us an hour sermon long about Jack Grealish and how much he loves his socks and his haircuts and all that. Don't start waffling on about Grealish, man. Into the next side, and we have Newcastle in 12th. And I really have to say, Newcastle are they looked as if they were going to go down for a very long period of time, but then the acquisition of an unknown Arsenal midfielder by the name of Joe Willock, he more or less was the savior of their season. 2 questions here. So what would you give Newcastle for the season, and how highly do you rate Joe Willock, and would you want to keep him for next season?
Yeah, I think Newcastle, concerning their start of the season, previous season, I think I'd have to give them A-, to be honest. I think 12th for a team like that is really good. But Joe Willock saved them in the end. So big ups, Joe Willock.
I'm sorry. They are so bad. They are so bad. I don't know how they finished 12th.
Hey,
They're so lucky. They're so lucky. Alan Saint-Maximin and
I
Joe Willock
fancy
literally saved their season. They have a coach who has no idea how to play football. I just hope you know.
I
I
fancy
completely
the
agree.
many fans saying that they're lucky. But yeah, I mean, 12th is 12th, no matter how they played, right? So
Yeah, fair enough.
That's true.
it's like Menu with second, all those pens that they got.
Yep.
But anyways, I think I rate Joe Willock highly, but if an offer comes in that's decent amount, I think we'd have to take it for world class center mid. But
How
think
much
he's
would you sell Joe Willock for if an offer came in?
it's so hard to say. I'd say 40.
All right.
Nothing less.
All right. And now into the next team. In 13th, we have Wolves, and I have to say this has been one of the most, this is the worst I've seen Wolves in gosh knows how long. I mean, a big problem was losing Raul Jimenez for the majority of this season. I mean, that was a massive blow, and I actually, and real talk here, I'm glad he's, all well and fit, and he's fully recovered from that horrible skull fracture and whatnot. It's, I'm glad to see that he's better, and that and I think I don't know if it was Nuno, but he said that that he should be back playing next season. This was a little while ago, when he hadn't made the decision to leave yet. But Wolves have just been disappointing. They haven't looked like the Wolves side from years gone, from the past 2 seasons that they've been in the Premier League. What would you give Wolves for the season, Robbo?
Honestly, once like Jimenez got murked, their season was also over. He was their big playmaker. So like it's really just I mean, Wolves, I feel, was a team that really could have possibly like competed for a Europa League spot if they had their top goal scorer, and they just like fell apart. So definitely like a C- team. Like it was just tough. That's like that's my hot take, Rice hot take. Also, can you toss me my food? Thank you.
Yeah. And seriously, I have absolutely no idea who on earth that is in the background, but
That's him.
God.
He's in bed. He's frozen in the front, and in the back he's in bed.
All right. Into the next item, we have Crystal Palace. And they exceeded expectations in some places, and other places they were poor. It's I don't really know how to describe, to be honest with you. Wilfred Zaha. Wilfred Zaha there again, for another season, and he definitely hasn't been as good as he was in years gone by. We've known for years he wants to leave. Crystal Palace aren't going to let him leave. And in my opinion, they've been pretty underwhelming. I mean, their team is just, I sort of feel like their whole team's average age is like 40, because I feel like I've seen the same team for like 10 years. Jose, what would you give Crystal Palace for the season?
Yeah, I think very average from them, probably a C plus. I think that it's probably good that their manager is retiring. I think that they need to change, and they need to start trying to push for greater positions. I think that their team isn't too bad. I think that they play way too defensively, and they rely a lot on their creative players like Wilfred Zaha. I think that they need to get a manager who has a real system and can play some good football. And I think that they can start challenging for some higher positions. I think they've been finishing in the same sort of area for too long now.
Yeah, I think it's a perfect way to say it. Into 15th, we have Southampton. In the middle, let's say the middle, 3 months of the season. No, actually, I'd say closer to the end, in March and whatnot. I have no words. I have honestly no words. Fair play, Cyrus. Fair play. That was a good one. Into 15th. Andre, what are you giving Southampton for the season?
Yeah. I mean, truly underwhelming in the end for sure. I think I'd probably give them like a D, honestly. I think they were
D.
below average. Yeah, they were below average. I mean, they finished below Newcastle, but with Ralph Hasenhüttl on the good games they were playing, they did so bad after they got that big Liverpool win. I remember that. It was just yeah, I think they're a lot of times their game management wasn't near good enough, and with the football they play and some of the individuals they have, I mean, Danny Ings is in there. Even they've got to do better. I think they've got to do better next season. I think
All
fans
right.
are disappointed.
All right. 16th, we have Brighton. And Cyrus, what are you giving Brighton for the season? And last question for this season, was Neil Mopai a cheat this season? Yes or no?
They finished, I think, 15th last season, so just consistent, I guess. I mean, I guess I'd give them like B minus C plus. Like, you don't really expect a side like Brighton to finish where like I don't know where Newcastle finished like 12th, 13th. I think that'd be a good season for them if they finished there. But I think for them it's all about just staying in the Premier League. So they did that. So fair play to them. Ever since injuring Leno, he's always been a cheat in my mind. So yeah.
um, so Sirius confirms that yes, Neil Mopai is a cheat and still will be. Next we have Burnley. And as the one and only Mark Gorbridge would say, bloody Burnley, they've done it again. What a prat. Burnley have indeed done it again. They have somehow stayed in the Premier League again, playing the same dull football as they always do. Robert, what would you give Burnley for the season?
Definitely give them like a C plus. Like Burnley is one of those teams that just like they're never gonna compete for Europe. Just I think their goal is to stay up. I'm blanking on this one game they had. It was like everyone said Burnley doesn't have boring football, and it was like one clip of this dude hitting like a top corner shot.
Oh, Dwight McNeil.
Yeah, it was a pretty crazy
Their
goal.
one talented player, Dwight McNeil.
He
Yeah.
needs to leave Burnley if he wants to improve his career for me.
It
He's
was
too good for that side.
pretty crazy goal, honestly, because like I mean, just looking at the point differential, like I feel like Fulham like had a lot more potential than the Burnley team, and like there's a 11-point gap between the two sides. So I would definitely give like Burnley like C plus B minus. Like I definitely thought Burnley was going to be relegated and Fulham was going to stay up.
All right. Next, indeed, it is Fulham. We are now at the bottom three teams who are saying, bye bye, see you later to the Premier League for next season. What would you give Fulham for the season?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, I think almost everyone had Fulham in the relegation zone, and I know I did. So for that, I think they essentially met expectations, although those expectations were not very good. So I will give them a C. I think that it's just because I mean I certainly didn't see them getting anywhere near the mid-table or anywhere. I thought that they were going to finish last. So I think that I think that it was fair for them. So I'll just give them a C.
All right. West Brom. I think they were a team that we saw going down. Serious, what would you give West Brom?
I mean, you get relegated, so it's obviously not going to be, the best. But I guess I give them a D, right? They going back down to the championship, and Brentford's going up. By the way, big up Brentford.
Yes. Big up Brentford. Big up Brentford.
But
I'm excited to see them in the league next season.
At least they didn't lose to Chelsea, so that's great.
I mean, I'm laughing at Man City on that one. I don't know who's seriously laughing at, but I'm probably gonna guess the team that Brendan Rodgers will be managing next season. And last but not least, Sheffield United. I think they were 100% the worst team in the Premier League this season. I think they just, they shattered their they shattered, and yes, shattered their expectations by absolutely failing in every single way to live up to his expectations, finishing in dead last. And they were bound to get relegated since October. Robertson, what are you giving Sheffield United for the season?
Like, I mean, an F. Like they were pretty terrible. Like they didn't even have a win till like October or something.
Mm,
Like they were not a good team. But I mean, that's kind of what happens. That's kind of like the one disappointing part about the Premier League is like you have all these like cash fueled teams, and then some people just get like the short stick. And I feel like Sheffield was one of those teams who just like their budget isn't big enough to compete at this level.
yeah. I mean, they spent £30 million, and yes, £30 million on Ryan Brewster. I mean, honestly, kudos to Liverpool's transfers director because or their transfer negotiator because he's got some seriously good skills. I think he sold like Danny Ward. I think he was like their third choice goalkeeper to like Crystal Palace for like 12 million or something like that. Some crazy money. I could be wrong, but he sold him for some crazy money. He hadn't had a single minute of Premier League experience. He sells Ryan Brewster, doesn't score a single Premier League goal, sells him for upwards to £30 million. I don't know how on earth that's happened, but he's definitely shown he's a decent transfer negotiator. Anyways, into the second segment of our show, let's take a look at the biggest surprise of the season. And this will be just quick fire going around. First, who was your surprise in the season in terms of players, in terms of their performances? Not a new signing, but someone who's just already been there. I mean, it could be good, it could be bad, like they exceeded expectations or they failed. Going around, Jose, starting with you.
I'd probably say Thomas Suchek because I think the amount of goals he scored, the amount of clutch goals he scored. I mean, him coming in, I thought he'd be a good CDM for them. I didn't think he'd be anything too special, but he proved me wrong, and I think, that he had a really good season and he provided a lot of great goals for them.
Okay. Cyrus, what about you?
Yeah, I was dwelling on either Mendy or Rudiger. I'll go Rudiger. I think didn't really rate him before this season. I think he's been very good. You saw in Champions League final. I know we're talking about Premier League, but even the Premier League has been great. Saw him in Champions League final. Those tackles he made against world-class players. I think he's been good this season. So I'll go with him.
All right. Robbo, what about you?
I'm gonna have to go with Christensen. Like that man was a total tool before Tuchel came in, and like just had a total like 180 on his career. Like you saw him in the Champions League final, saw him like those final weeks of the season. Like he's a totally different player now.
Yeah. Andre, what about you?
I'd probably have to go Ilkay Gundogan. I think his scoring and the way he was deployed more offensively was a surprise.
Yeah. For me, it would have to be Sadio Mane. A lot of you, were mentioning the positives, and I think trying to balance, and I'll go with the negative. Sadio Mane for me was one of the biggest surprises of the season. He looked like, Sadio Mane turned into, with all due respect, he turned into, Danny Welbeck. He turned into, Bambi on ice. He looked like he didn't know how to shoot a ball, how to dribble a ball. His touch was like a trampoline. He was just, in terms of season ratings, he was awful. And I was not expecting that from a player of his caliber. Hopefully Monty will be back to normal next season, just from a neutral perspective. But yeah, for me, it'd definitely be Sadio Mane. Managers. I'm going David Moyes. Are we all going to go David Moyes on this one?
I was gonna go Tuchel, but like,
that's okay. Yeah, fair enough. You can go Thomas Tuchel. I don't think anybody expected him to win the Champions League or to have the turnaround that he did. But yeah, Tuchel. Yeah, that's a good shout. Andre, Cyrus, what about you two?
I think I'd give it to Moyes. I think there are some honorable mentions in Thomas Tuchel.
Brendan Rodgers,
Ryan Mason, obviously.
No. I'd rather give it to Arteta than I'd rather give the better manager award to Arteta than to Ryan Mason.
I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer exceeded expectations. I think he did well with a lot of criticism. So.
honestly, as funny as it sounds, he's actually up there in terms of one of the biggest surprises of the season. I would have never expected this side to finish second place.
Yeah, me
Never in a
neither.
million years. Cyrus, who would you say has been your managerial surprise of the season? I mean, it could be good, it could be bad.
I think that it's such a surprise that even how awful Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is with his tactics, you guys still managed to get the second. Like, Arteta, he gives those. He's like Pep Jr. with his tactics, absolute masterclass.
You don't lie. You do not lie when he's Pep Jr. That's the title. I'm telling you, that's the title of the show.
Sometimes he gets it wrong, just like Pep, tries to go too far. So I'll give it to Ole, second place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is actually, and a fair shout. And I mean, all managers, all managers get it wrong. I know a manager who got it wrong in first leg of the Europa League semifinal, when he thought he was Pepe and he wanted to play a false nine. But everyone makes mistakes, and everyone makes mistakes. Into the next one. Let's look at teams. For the first one, let's look at a team who was one of the biggest surprises of the season in terms of being the dark horse, exceeding expectations. And I think only one team really comes to mind, and I'm pretty sure we're all on the same wavelength here. But it's got to be West Ham. Are we all agreeing on that?
Yeah, 100%. On this.
100%. And then the next one, a team who were very disappointing in terms of just they finished far below expectations. This is you could throw a lot of names in the hat. I could throw in Tottenham, Arsenal, Sheffield United. Everton. They're teams that that you could definitely throw in, but in terms of their status and now where they've ended up, for me, I'm sorry, but it has to be Tottenham. They're at top. How you go from top of the league to seventh? The decline. That's just abysmal, in my opinion. And it's not just ripping on Tottenham. That's got to be the biggest bottle job of, for a long time. But it's Tottenham, so I don't think any of us are really surprised. Especially when we've seen the Friends remake of Warrior Sissoko and Ndombele always having to play together, just for the celebratory dance moves, but then that's about it. Joe, what would you say for the disappointing team, the most disappointing surprise?
For me, it's definitely between Sheffield and Tottenham. I think that Tottenham, I was really expecting Tottenham to have a good season under Mourinho, maybe get a trophy.
Season 2 as well.
Yeah.
It's usually always good in season 2.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know. Just their fall, like you said, was so big, and some of the results that they didn't get, that I thought that they would get so easily and so clearly. But I think Sheffield for me, they had by far the worst season. I'm gonna probably go with Sheffield.
Okay. Cyrus, what about you?
No, I can't really talk here, but I'd like to go Tottenham as well, just because I think Arsenal got out of the relegation zone. I think they're 17th at one point, 18th. So I think that's an improvement now, not getting relegated.
I think for Arsenal's case, it's a lot. It's like I really wasn't expecting Arsenal to have such a great season. I thought Tottenham would have a good season. I didn't think Arsenal would have a good season. So
I actually agree with that. I actually expected Tottenham to be soaring
because my expectations were higher for Tottenham. I think it's safer to say that they were a bigger disappointment.
Yeah, that's why I'm gonna go with Tottenham.
Yeah.
Also, because I'm biased and I don't like Tottenham.
Really? No, I don't think anyone knew that. Andre, in terms of what are you saying? Are you going to say Tottenham or are you going to say Leicester because of your favorite manager?
No, definitely not. I'd go Tottenham. You look at how well Kane and Son did. They're top in the stats, and then the team is still fucking seventh. That's crazy.
And one of them
top scorer, and we're seventh.
And one of them, looks like he wants to. He's definitely going. And real quick, I've never seen in my life someone flirt so much with another club in my life. I mean, honestly, it's as if Harry Kane is wearing, a short skirt and freaking like, bright red chapstick, and he's trying super hard to impress and flirting really, really freaking hard with Manchester City. I mean, the quotes he came up with De Bruyne. I think he said something about Pep Guardiola, being a privilege to play under him or something like that, and he really wants to go win trophies. I mean, I've not seen in my life someone flirt that much with a club.
I mean, anybody would say that they want to go play with Kevin De Bruyne, right? It's not that bad.
Oh, but bro, come on.
No one with a soul would go to Man City. Just saying.
There you go. Robertson. Lastly, over to you. Who would be your most disappointing team in the season in terms of expectations?
Mine was actually Liverpool. Like I had Liverpool pegged to like win the whole Premier League. I was pretty sure they were gonna like have like a dynasty for the next like 2 to 3 years. Like their roster was insane, but like I don't know, just like I felt Sadio Mane just was like disappointing. Firmino just is like disappointing. Their whole like injury scandal was just rough. Their signings I felt just like weren't that good. Like there was like this whole debate on Twitter with like who's the how Thiago was so good, and like dude, Thiago had like 5 arm raises for like every turnover or some shit. Like they were just an overrated team, and like they got lucky to get in the Champions League in my opinion. So yeah.
Yep, yeah, they're very lucky because a certain team bottled it, and they more or less just gave them a free Champions League spot. I'm not going to mention who because I'll start going on an absolute rant. Next we have new signings. First, who would be the biggest success in terms of expectations and new signings? And for me personally, I know people may think I'm crazy, but for me, I'm gonna go with Ollie Watkins. He is smashed it for Aston Villa this season. He's been their lead talisman. He came in from Brentford for big money for Aston Villa. Closer to 35 million pounds. He's had to do a tremendous job for them this season. And for me, Ollie Watkins, he's done an exceptional job for Villa, season, alongside, their best player Jack Grealish, of course. But I'm not trying to get Robbo into sermon mode. But Jose, what would you give, or who would you say has been the signing that has just completely exceeded expectations?
For me, it'd have to be Ruben Diaz. I don't know how you could look past him. I think that I didn't even think he was going to be that great when he came in, but he completely proved me wrong. He's been the best center back in the league by far this season.
Oh yeah, definitely.
He transformed Man City's defense. He's got John Stones playing well. He's pretty. He got Aymeric Laporte out of the team, which is pretty impressive. And to do that all at such a young age is so impressive. I think he's gonna be really good in the next few years as well.
Oh, 100%. For me, Ruben Diaz was the first one actually in my head to think of. But I wanted to throw out Ollie Watkins because I just think he's one that's just often overlooked. Yes, he's had a couple rough patches this season, and I was 2 seconds away from saying Ruben Diaz. For those who might be watching, saying, Davis, what do you want? How come you didn't say Ruben Diaz? I wanted to throw out one that just wasn't as obvious, or just something, or someone that wouldn't get as much attention or as much of the credit that they deserve. And for me, Ollie Watkins has just done a very good job. But Ruben Diaz has been exceptional. Well deserving of winning, Premier League Player of the Year. Very well deserving of it. Cyrus, who would your signing be in terms of just completely exceeding expectations?
I'd have to say Diaz, but I just want to touch on Watkins for a second. I think there's so many players that came from Brentford that aren't talked about in the Premier League. Even Neil Mopai, he came from Brentford. I think Brentford produces a lot of players that are underrated in the Premier League, and they finally, got up. So we'll see what they do.
Yeah. Cyrus makes a brilliant point there. I mean, Brentford have made some seriously good players. I mean, you think of the likes of Ollie Watkins and Neil Mopai, Said Ben Rama. I mean, Brentford has some very, very good players. And shout out to Ivan Toney. Ivan Toney, I can't wait to see that guy in the Premier League. I think he's going to be an absolute monster. You can clip this. I don't care. Clip this. I mean, I think Ivan Toney's just going to be really, really good next season, in my opinion. Andre, what about you?
Yeah, I think Diaz should definitely get a shout, but I think when we go expectations, it's probably going to be defined by the price tag, and I think I mean 15 million for Pierre-Emile Højbjerg for what he's done. I think that was just a great bargain. But I think he deserves a mention. But I'd still go Diaz. I think we knew he'd be good, but he's exceeded my expectations.
Yeah, 100%. 50 million pounds for Højbjerg, I think that's a bargain deal.
It was a great deal.
I mean, yes, Tottenham did have to give up, one of the most promising and best right backs in the world, Kyle Walker-Peters, in the process. But I mean, 15 million pounds for a very, very good central defensive midfielder. I think he's 25.
Yeah.
Not even in his prime.
And, he's a Champions League winner.
Oh no! Just stop mentioning he's a Champions League winner. He's a good player. He's been very good this season. But when he was at Bayern, excuse my language, but he did fuck all. Okay, he didn't do anything when he was at Bayern. He was brought in to be a squad player. He didn't do anything. Come on, stop mentioning he's a Champions League winner. Jimmy Traore is a Champions League winner. Ryan Brewster's a Champions League winner. Willie Caballero is a Champions League winner. It doesn't mean anything. You can have a Champions League medal and you can still be shit. Come on.
Just like you cannot have trophies and still be one of the best, in the league.
So, yeah. I'm not exactly sure 7th really replicates that, but it's okay.
You haven't won a trophy. Unfortunately, you fired your manager who wins trophies right before.
A cup final. There we go. All right. Into the next one. The biggest failure, disappointment, new signings.
Dude, you guys skipped me.
My bad.
Davis.
Yeah.
What, really, Davis? Really?
So irresponsible. Of course, he doesn't know. So.
I forgot Robbo was even here.
My biggest success signing is obviously Mendy, because
100%.
Chelsea was shit before Mendy came through.
It was I was very sad.
How many clean sheets did he have? He had 15, I think.
I think Chelsea would have been better with Kepa though.
Yes.
Hey, wait, Robbo, do you think Mendy could have saved the Tielemans screamer?
No. No. That was honestly, I saw that post and it was the stupidest fucking post I've ever seen on the internet. His arms aren't gonna get 2 meters longer. That was a top corner shot. No one was saving that.
You can't blame Kepa for that. You can't.
Yeah, that's just unlucky. The Ben Chilwell's goal that got called offsides though, that was B. He celebrated and then he got booed.
That was hilarious. I was watching that FA Cup final. That was so funny.
That was hilarious.
Now into the biggest failure, disappointment of the season. And for me, it's between two, but in terms of just the actual amount of game time he's been given and the price tag he's come in, if it's between Donny van de Beek, but that's not due to his own fault. It's due to a tactically very good manager's fault. I mean, I've said it so many times. I mean, I feel sorry for Donny van de Beek. I mean, the guy. I mean, he's even behind Matic. He's behind McFred in the pecking order. I mean, he has to be scoring own goals every day in training to not be getting bigs. I mean, I feel sorry. I really feel sorry for him. But at the same time, it's not his fault of him playing poorly, because every time he's played, he's looked very good. But it's just a matter of him actually getting the chances. So that's why I actually wouldn't go with Van de Beek. And it's so clear. 50 million pounds for the one and only Turbo Timo, who every time he would score, he's offsides. I mean, and look, and Timo Werner, just no, this guy couldn't hit the target for his life. I mean, I'm pretty sure all of you have seen this, but like after the Champions League final, he's celebrating and he can't even point at the freaking badge on his shirt. Like he's like I mean that just sums up Timo Werner in a nutshell. I mean, Timo Werner just has to be it. The reason why I'm not going Kai Havertz is because he's a different kind of player and he's definitely resurged under Tuchel. He's looked a lot better. But it's got to be Timo Werner for me. Jose, what are you saying?
Yeah, I'd probably have to go with Van de Beek. And it's not his fault. It's just that he hasn't been played. I think it's really disappointing. He's such a good player at Ajax, and I'm sad we couldn't integrate him into our team this year.
But McFred's better, so I think we can all
true.
get it. Cyrus, what are you saying?
We're signing this season. I think I'd have to probably go Willian. I think I don't know if you saw him in the Champions League against Barca. He was red hot then, just like the slow girls. Am I right? And now just awful. He had a goal at the end of the season, but like he was pretty much, we were playing with 10 players when he was playing with us.
Oh my god. Jeez. To all the slow people out there, you're going to Cal Poly slow, big up yourselves. Big up to all, people at slow. And we got Robbo here, so
Little hotties.
Slow gang is real.
We don't go for Tottenham fans, Andre. I'm sorry.
Let's go for slow people.
Andre, on to you. Who would your biggest failure or disappointment of the season is in terms of new signings?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Jose and go. I think Van de Beek was just such a. Hopefully, we'll get to see more of him. But yeah, it's so underwhelming in terms of his arrival. This turned out to be completely pointless in the end.
Yeah, and again, that's something due to his own fault. He's got world-class McFred, and he's got Matic and Mount ahead of him. So I don't think it's going to be hard for Van de Beek to get minutes.
I mean, it is his fault. He could have lived it up at Mourinho FC for a while. Remember that?
I think Donny Van de Beek would have just gotten ruined if he went to Tottenham.
Yeah, probably.
And on Van de Beek, it's like, what is it? Like why doesn't this guy get any minutes? Like does Ollie have like Donny Van de Beek nudes, or it's like the other way around? I don't know. I don't get it. Our midfield can't be any worse. I don't get it. I honestly don't get it. Anyways, Robbo, on to you. Who would your biggest failure or disappointment this season be? Would it be the one and only Turbo Timo, or would you say Van de Beek, or who are you saying?
I'm gonna go Thiago. Just like Thiago
that's a good shout.
Is such a highly rated player, and he just was atrocious in my opinion. Like he did nothing to contribute to that Liverpool side. He was just like a hole in that offense. And when people talk about like Timo Werner being a bust, he had 19 something goal contributions that were called off through VAR, and it's just unlucky. I think
because he just dives in the box. That's not unlucky.
Well, that's the thing. I think that's part of the game. It's like the whole Trae Young philosophy too. It's just with VAR, technology is ruining the game. That's how I feel about it. Diving is part of the game. You just have to get around that. It's a play. I hate to say it, Mo Salah is the most infamous diver in the Premier League.
Of course, Cyrus says Bruno. Of course, I knew someone was gonna say something about Bruno.
Diving is just part of the game. That's how it is. Bale's a flopper. A lot of these big skill players are just they dive, and that's how it is. Your favorite team has someone who dives egregiously, and that's just the fact.
Not Arsenal. We don't have divers.
Yeah, you're right. You just don't have a team.
You just have Granit Xhaka on your team. That's it.
He's getting sold.
And another thing, it's this season's been really easy to get fouls in the sense that especially and wait, hold on, and you can hear it now because you could hear it because of the closed doors and no offense. The player goes down and they go, ah, and they scream. the the referee is thinking, oh shit, like someone's up in the stands, someone's got a sniper. They must be seriously hurt. A card's got to be given. I'll say it for Man United as well. They're definitely guilty of it. I think every team in the Premier League, is guilty of it. Most teams in the Premier League are guilty of it. Anyways, into the final part of the finale. I just want to briefly conclude the season, whatnot. And I just want to just go around to all of you, just from looking from an entirely neutral perspective, not from looking at our favorite teams and whatnot. And what would you just how would you rate the season just overall, like not just from a one team perspective? Cyrus, will start with you.
Just the Premier League season overall, you're saying?
Yeah, just as a
I
whole.
think it was an interesting season. I don't know. I feel like I love to see like a title race. I feel like it was over from beginning. I feel like that's more interesting. I feel like it was nice to see teams like West Ham. I guess we have to say Leicester's the top team now. But yeah, it was nice to see teams that you wouldn't think do well like West Ham, Newcastle, Everton at one point. And you'd see teams like let's Chelsea for example lose to West Brom, things like that. So it was interesting. I'd give the season like a 7. I fancied it. I fancy you, Davis.
Jose, what are you saying?
Yeah, I agree with Cyrus. I think that I love to see a title race as well. Whenever there's a season where one team runs off with it, it's just not really as entertaining.
Yeah.
I love to see Man U finish high in the table again. That always makes it a good season for me, but definitely probably just an average season this year for me.
All right. Robbo, what about you?
Wait, sorry. I was having a conversation with my roommate. I totally spaced out. But honestly, it was a really good season to just watch. Like there's some like West Ham was just like I was really hoping West Ham was gonna get a Champions League spot. Just seeing like Harry Kane go like crazy was like you can't really hate on the man. Like Harry Kane's just like a likable guy. At the end of the season, like watching Joe Wilcox, like what was he, 6 for 6, and Arsenal got rid of him. Like that must have been pretty satisfying for him. And then also, I don't know, just like watching like Leeds, like I don't know, I like that Leeds team. Like there's a lot of I think there's a lot of potential in that. Fuck Leeds apparently, but that Brentford side as well. I think they got promoted. I think they're going to be fun to watch, and Norwich too. That's going to
back
be
again.
Yeah,
Straight back down to the championship next season.
Yeah, I was going to say that. That's my early prediction. They're going back down.
That quickly?
Yeah.
No, I think they'll stay up.
Well, we'll be able to make our predictions when all back from summer. And Andre, over to you. What do you make of the overall season?
I think it was a season that was pretty defined by the lack of fans in the stadiums. I think a lot of the games just lacked that energy we were used to, just because you didn't have the loud fans yelling at everything. So I think the season lacked energy and spark at times. But I think they were out of some dark horses. I think the closeness in both halves of the table was really exciting, even with there not being a title race. But yeah, I don't think it was. I think it lacked some excitement at times.
Yeah, I agree with that. This season's been. It's been. For me, in my opinion, it's been a weird season for me. Just because it's been a roller coaster. At one point we had fans and we didn't. At the end of the season we did. And this kind of transitions into just the next phase of or my very final question of the season, which is just what just of our my overall thoughts on just on our show's just overall journey throughout the season. I think I mean, and I mean for me, I'll say what I've been saying the whole season. I'll use the classic Oli excuse from the 1920 season, which is we're young, we're a young team, we're a young group, we're growing, we're on the up. Um, um, and I think I've loved what we've been able to do with this. I just want to get all of your thoughts on this. And Siri, starting with you, what do you make just of our overall journey so far?
Well, Davis, grope me if I'm wrong, but we reached 50 YouTube subscribers now.
Okay, and
Did we not? I think we did. But I think it's a great milestone. I think, as you said, we are a young, growing channel. I think if we introduced a new member our age and doggy, it'd be even better channel. But it's okay. We'll talk about that later. Yeah, I give credit to our host. It's his birthday, by the way.
thank you, Cyrus. Thank you. I
My
really
present
appreciate
would
it.
be a little birthday suit action for later. So
Birthday strippers for Davis, maybe. Maybe a lap dance, cheeky lap dance.
Let's just move into
And
the
more.
next person. Andre, what have you made of the overall season?
You asked me. We're good. Let's just sing happy birthday.
That was it.
Well, yeah, that was it. That was it. It was just lacked energy. The big games kind of sucked. I don't know, but it was
Okay.
tight overall.
Robertson, thoughts on this are, I know yours is a little different. I mean, all of us from the very beginning were really, really impressed when we saw you come on, and then Cyrus had to take an absence of leave for a little while, and I was thinking, I'm gonna need a replacement, and then I think all of us just as a whole just thought, may as well just add him to the family, because he's just, I mean, he's impressive with just in terms of just getting the attention and in terms of just everything all around. What are your thoughts on just your overall journey and just being with us on this show?
It's been a ton of fun. Like, obviously, I appreciate you guys just like welcome me in, like part of the gang. Like, it's obviously fun to talk shit with the boys and just like let them know that like like Champions League, baby. Like, I don't think like any of these clubs are gonna be hitting the Champions League. So like, talk shit, get hit, like that kind of thing. Like, it's been a ton of fun. I really like seeing like the progress. Like there's like if you watch the first video versus now, like I don't know, it's just like the channel is clearly growing, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what the next few seasons are gonna produce.
You gotta say Legolas.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, 100%.
Yeah.
And I'll say this right now to host. I mean, this journey is just beginning. I mean, and I can't believe this was just an idea I was talking before Robert came along, just to you three in the summer, just saying, hey, maybe we should start a show. Just and it would always just be a thought, and then it wasn't until a couple weeks before the season began, like I was like, yeah, we should really do this, and we actually put it in place, and there's just been so much change and everything, and especially, and what a way to end it. And last but not least, Jose, what have your thoughts been on just our overall journey?
Yeah, it's been awesome. It's been a great journey. I think that I speak for everyone when I really want to thank you, Davis, for all of your efforts this season to make. I mean, I know you put in a really large amount of work, definitely more than everyone else for every episode, and I really want to thank you for that. I mean, you put on a suit at 10 a.m. to do this and host us, and I definitely want to thank you. I especially speaking for myself and Cyrus, our agent Doggy as well, of course. Even the molester sends his regards to you as well. But I want to thank you very much for this season, and it's been a pleasure to work with you, Davis.
Yeah, it's been, and big up to all yourselves. It's been a pleasure to work with each and every one of you. I've loved having each and every one of you on. And I'm not gonna lie, at some points I'd be highly frustrated, which should be it would be a blank lie for me to say, or a white lie for me to say I wasn't. There'd be some shows I'd be very frustrated with. Some days I'd be really happy, but it's just but as people would tell troops all the time about Mikel Arteta's, you just gotta trust the process. Just gotta trust the process, like they say about Arteta. Well, for the last time this season, that's been it for the show. If you've loved what you've seen this season and cannot wait till see what we've got in store for next season, smash like on this video, and all of our platforms are in the link in the description below. And it will say this is the last podcast episode. Before we go, I have plans to bring in guests which come from other channels and just a whole different variety of just different people. So just keep your eyes open for that. There will be some content in the summer, but I'm buzzing. I've loved each and every minute of doing this. Putting a lot of work.
Davis, before you end the video, I think we should all just sing "Happy Birthday," right before we end it.
Fair enough.
All right, ready, guys? 3, 2, 1.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Daveye. Happy birthday to you.
19 with no driver's license. Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for thank you for the birthday wishes. Big up to all the people who have been sending them. And wherever you are watching this in the world, I usually say, have a great day / evening.